Good morning, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today, let's talk flowering shrubs, because here in North Carolina, it is still, we're getting to the end, y'all. We're kissing that edge where it's a little iffy about getting some of those flowering shrubs into your garden just because of the heat and humidity. You know, here in the South, once it hits, it hits. So we want to get these babies in the ground and get them nice and established so that way you get to enjoy all of these beautiful flowers this season. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 years from now. I am talking about this summer. You get to have gorgeous flowers in your garden. You want something with fragrance? Got that. You need something with some height, like a small tree? Got that. You want something to attract your pollinators? I got that for you too. So we're going to go through and just look at these flowering shrubs that you can add to your garden right now. Of course, Creekside Nursery is open Wednesdays through Saturdays at 9 to 3 here in Dallas, North Carolina. So without any further ado, I've got two. So, you know, the early bird gets the worm here on this one. But my favorite flower of all time, the gardenia. This, of course, is steady as she goes. This is a beautiful, absolutely loaded with gorgeous, highly fragrant flowers. Of course, gardenias are evergreen. Steady as she goes is going to be 3 to 5 feet tall and 4 to 7 feet wide. Full sun to part shade. So what does that mean? It means it needs at least, I would say, 5 hours of good direct sun. And this is a plant for the South. Hardy in zones 7 to 10. But just an absolutely wonderful, delicious, highly fragrant, she is my favorite for sure. We're gonna see if she can stick it behind my ear, because you know me, during gardenia season, I have one behind my ear. All right, now, this is a great small tree, large shrub. So this is a Vitex. This is the Rock Steady Vitex. It is going to be absolutely loaded. Look at all these buds in this light lavender, I can call them purple blooms that, of course, attract the pollinators like crazy. So Rock Steady is relatively new from our friends at Proven Winners. The difference between this Vitex and other Vitex is that it is going to bloom longer, right? We want as much flower power for the length of time that we can get, and Rock Steady is going to bloom 3 to 4 weeks longer than your traditional Vitex. So Vitexes, chase trees, before I knew what they were, they reminded me of a very large, like a butterfly bush tree, shall you say. So Rock Steady is hardy in zones 5B to 9, and the warmer you are, the bigger it's going to be. So where I am in a zone 8, it could probably be about 12 feet tall and 5 feet wide. If you're in that zone at 5B, you're going to be in that more of that 4x4 size of a shrub. So it just depends on what your growing zone is as to how big it's going to be. The warmer you are, the bigger it's going to be. But think of it as a multi-trunk tree, like a small crepe myrtle, right? So Rock Steady, of course, because of those beautiful blooms on it, huge pollinator attractor. Your butterflies love Vitexes. I have one in the backyard. I cannot wait to see these grow and develop. It is going to be absolutely stunning. Now, over here on my right side, now technically these are not a shrub. These are perennials, because they will die completely back to the ground each and every winter. So what am I talking about? These are, of course, the perennial hibiscus. These are those beautiful hibiscus that give you the massive dinner plate size blooms throughout the entire heat of the summer. The hotter it is, the more humid it is, the wetter it is, the happier they are. And they come in a range of sizes and colors. So for example, this first one here, this is the Starry Night. And you can see that Starry Night is going to have near black foliage with that pretty like pinwheel of a bloom on it. So that pink and cream, just lovely. So as a general whole, the perennial hibiscus, they're going to be hardy in zones 4 to 9. And they're going to need more than 4 hours of sun a day. So very kind of adaptable in that you absolutely can put them in full hot sun. They will do great. I have them in lots of places in the full sun. They love moist conditions, so the damper it is, the happier they are. All right, so let's talk about some colors because we all want to know about colors. So here, right directly in front of me, this is Valentine's Crush, which is going to be a nice, very upright, bright green foliage with just a gorgeous red bloom. Hence its name, Valentine Crush. So she is going to get to be about 5 feet tall. So it's a good one. Then next door, right behind, we have Evening Rose. This is the one that we have at the garden center that's planted directly in front of the greenhouse. There's 3 of them. I'll show you two in just a minute. They're massive. They get all the extra water runoff when we water the plants on the edge of the greenhouse. They themselves are specifically not on irrigation, but like I said, they get that water runoff. They're huge. It will get to be about 4 feet tall and nice and wide. You'll see that here in just a minute. So we've got those with that hot pink bloom. Then one of the all-time favorites, relatively new on the market, right back here, where we had Valentine's Crush. Now we have Lilac Crush. And Lilac Crush is going to be, as its name suggests, a very light lavender lilac color. And even in my garden, it'll take on some like bluish hues to it. It too is going to be very upright in that 5.5 foot tall. You can just see, like, it is going to go up, not necessarily super wide. Basically, with your perennial hibiscus, you'll have either what they call the columnar, so nice and upright, or the gumdrop. So they're wide and they just look like a little gumdrop. So you've got those coming on down here. We've got, just to show you some different ones, we've got Candy Crush, which is going to be a lovely solid pink on a green foliage. Then you have got the Cherry Chocolate. There you go. Nice, not nearly black, not completely black, not completely green, somewhere in the middle with that beautiful pinwheel of a flower. That'll only be, quote, 4 feet tall, so a little shorter. Then you can see here, this is definitely going to be shorter because you can just see how they're growing. This is the All Eyes on Me, nice light pale pink, 3.5 feet tall on that one. Then we've got, I'm telling you, they come in just about every color you can imagine. Summerific Berry Awesome, going to be a taller one, obviously. Again, kind of a different foliage color on that with that nice, really rich color on that pink. This was a huge, very popular, especially when it came out. This is the Summerific Edge of Night. And Edge of Night is that black foliage, and the blooms on this are like a fluorescent pink. I mean, they are bright pink, and she's a gumdrop. So she's going to be in that 3.5 foot tall. And then another one that is hugely popular is this guy right here. This is going to be the Cookies and Cream. This is one of the newest ones released, and so Cookies and Cream is going to still have that nice dark foliage on it, but pure white flowers. Hence its name, because it looks like a little Oreo. It's going to be a little bit taller than Edge of Night. So just beautiful, nice selections of those Summerifics. If you wanted to put it in a container, I suppose you could. I would just get a really big, like when I say big, I mean like 36 inches, because these things have root systems like you would not believe. All right, oh my gosh. The Pugster butterfly bushes have literally exploded in just a matter of a few days. So what we have here basically, it looks like our 2 colors. Pinkerific. No, pinker. Pinker, sorry. There's a lot of pinkerifics and variations of that name. Pinker. So Pugster Pinker, one of my absolute favorites. Can you guess why? Look at the blooms on this thing. Huge. Absolutely huge. So that's why we love the Pugsters, because the plants themselves are petite, right? So they're only going to be like that 3 foot range, but the blooms are massive, just ginormous. And of course your butterflies love them. So we've got that. And then I think this is Amethyst, which is down here, which is a lovely light purple. So again, and it has a little bit of a different leaf. than the Pugster Pinker, but huge. They are just starting to open. I have Pugster Blue at the house, and just yesterday she started opening up those blooms. Excuse me. Once they start blooming, they don't stop. Like, they will go all the way through a hard freeze, and your butterflies clearly love them. Your pollinators of all shapes and sizes love these plants. Now, some keys to growing butterfly bushes. This goes across the board, not just for the Pugsters, but butterfly bushes in general. One, give them tons of sun. They need a minimum, I would say, of 6 hours of sun. Two, give them well-draining soil. They hate wet feet. Do not put them in a wet area. I would not put a butterfly bush with a hibiscus. They probably don't really go well together because of the water issue. The only way that I would say that is if you had it on a hill, and so your Pugsters and your butterfly bushes can drain, and you've got irrigation for those guys, right? So you need to have well-draining soil, and really they don't like to be fertilized. They just like to be left alone, and they are beautiful. Pretty soon, the Rose of Sharon's shall begin blooming. And so they are here. We have got the Parpaloo Pink Ink. I thought earlier that there was, somebody must have grabbed her. There was a lovely, a pale pink one, I think that was blooming as well. Now, next door, right here, and we're actually gonna come down here because I see a bloom. The El Nino Catalpa. So this plant has been so popular, incredibly popular. Now, this particular plant is already sold, but she's the only one with the bloom on her that has just begun. Massive. It reminds me of a giant, like, snapdragon bloom. Nice, as you can see, kind of that mauve with that really frilly edge. They're going to be covered in blooms. This is like that rock steady where it's going to be like a small tree, like a crepe myrtle, multi-trunked tree. And this is a continuous bloomer. Once it begins, it loves to have that full sun. It does great in really hot conditions, whether you're arid or whether you're humid, it does well. And it is a fast grower. So the Catalpa, great. El Ninos, these are 3 gallons. Y'all, these are beautiful plants. These will be probably at the end of the season twice this size. Get them in the ground, give them some room for their roots to grow, and they will be about double this size at the end of the season. I promise you that. It is fantastic. Now, hydrangeas. Let's talk hydrangeas because we have got our smooth hydrangeas have begun blooming, and our panicles, they are coming in next. We even have some Macs up there that are blooming. So you can see, like on Little Lime Punch, she is covered in buds, absolutely covered in buds. If you have been around us, you know that Little Lime Punch is one of my all-time favorite because of its gorgeous blooms. They start out a really kind of like an iridescent creamy white, and for us they'll take on like a pink hue to them. They're going to be in that 3 to 5 foot range. They love the sun. They need a minimum of 5 to 6 hours of sun. They are panicles, so they bloom on new growth. That means you're guaranteed to have flowers every single year, which I love. So we've got lots of those. In fact, there's one that's actually starting to have a little bit more color down there. So that's really good. Then we have your traditional little limes. I like personally Punch over traditional little lime because it seems to have a tighter, more compact habit. But if you want something that's more, a little bit more open, you can tell from how they're growing. Little lime tends to be a little bit more freeform, not floppy, but Punch is definitely really, really tight and compact. But we have little limes as well. We got in Incrediballs. People were asking for Incrediballs, and so they are here. Now, are they on a little bit on the smaller side? They are. Are they blooming right now? No, they're not. Will they? They will. But honestly, I like planting hydrangeas like this because they're not loaded with blooms, and so they transition really well, especially if you're going to put them in sun, which Incrediballs here can definitely do lots of sunny conditions. Ours are in full all day sun. Y'all, they're as tall as I am, 5 feet tall, probably 3-4 feet wide, covered in blooms. Love them. The quick fires, so we've got a quick fire fab. You can always know the quick fires because they have these red stalks. So whether it's quick fire fab, little quick fire, any of those, they have those red stalks. Again, going to be a little bit bigger as we're transitioning up. We're getting into some taller plants here. So I can just look at them and go, okay, well, these are going to be those quick fire fabs because they have those red stems. Now, here we go. What is in bloom right now? So we have the Invincible Ruby. So these are those smooth hydrangeas, an arborescent, right? So these are native hydrangeas. They bloom on new growth. Again, means you're going to get flowers every single year from all of these hydrangeas right here. They're color specific, so it doesn't matter what your soil's pH level is. You're going to get these beautiful ruby red flowers. Now, we just had a ton of rain this week, and so they are a little bit downturned. Mine in the landscape are really strong and upright. Whenever you have a plant in a nursery pot, it just grows differently, y'all. It really does. But mine at the house, I mean, nice and big. So you're going to treat these like a panicle. You're going to give them that sun. Here in the south, they need a break in the afternoon, otherwise they're going to burn. So they can get that 6 hours or 7 hours, whatever, in the morning up till a little bit lunchtime, past lunchtime. Then in the shade, 3, 4, 5, they'll do great. Another color specific that is doing great, still a smooth hydrangea, just a bigger bloom. This is Incredible Blush. So you have Incredible, which is that nice creamy white. Then you have Incredible Blush, color specific, nice kind of that mauve color. This is going to be in that 4 to 5 foot range, where Ruby is more in that 3 foot range. So a little bit smaller on that. Let's go talk about stuff for the shade, because I've got hydrangeas up here that are stunning, and they are going to be perfect for these shade gardens because they are repeat bloomers also. Jer, I'm going to come over, go over here because I want to show you. Remember I told you about the hibiscus that we have? Here you go. So there's 3 of them right here. So you can see how big these babies get. Now these have been in the ground for 4 years, at least 4. This is at least year 4, if not year 5. So nice and big, and they will just be covered in flowers before we know it. So give them room to grow for sure. All right, so flowering shrubs for the shade. You're gonna think about hydrangeas, honestly, especially this time of year going into the summer. So you've got the Invincible Sublime, color specific, nice lime color, still that smooth hydrangea, guaranteed to have flowers every year. Y'all, look at these. Oh, I just lost my gardenia. Look at these. This is the Let's Dance Sky View. These are unbelievably gorgeous, gorgeous shrubs. These are 3 gallons. They are well watered. They are just stunning. Look at that. And what's so fun about these is that they bloom on new and old growth. So that means what you're seeing right now are the blooms that they formed last year, okay? Last summer. Because they also bloom on new growth, that means when these are done, they're going to keep on putting out new blooms. So you're going to have gorgeous flowers throughout the entire growing season. This is going to be more for those shady, filtered sun conditions. Let's Dance Sky View is going to be hardying zones of 4 to 9, 2 to 3 tall, 2 to 4 wide. So we've got those, of course, the Fairy Trail Brides, which are those cascading hydrangeas, color specific, in that creamy white with those big, huge petals on it. Lovely, just absolutely lovely. Really can do just about any kind of sun conditions, whether it's full sun, filtered sun, does really well. And then the next door, we have the Let's Dance Arebas. Now, the Arebas are going to be a little bit more sun tolerant. They absolutely can still do that. Well, that's the sky view. There are Arebas right there. They are going to be more sun tolerant. So if you have an area like I do up at the chicken coop that is morning shade but hot afternoon sun, mine are doing great. And they're going to still be in that 2 to 3, like 3 foot tall, 4-ish foot wide. lovely on those. So lots of different options for you. Again, those flowering shrubs, if you're interested in it, now is a great time to get them in the ground, especially with all the rain that we've been having, that they transition really, really well. And so come see us Wednesday through Saturday, 9 to 3. And of course, we would love if you would like and subscribe to Gardening with Creekside. That way you don't miss those 5 videos that we do each and every week. Y'all have an amazing day. Come get these shrubs. They are stunning. Get them in your garden. I promise you will thank us later. As always, we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.